You know, the average ChatGPT request requires almost 10 times more electricity than a Google search. As the technology becomes more and more common, there are rising concerns over both the energy needed and potential pollution. Ben Tracy looks at the data centers that drive our digital lives.
This is a Google data center outside of Reno, Nevada.
It's hard to imagine that there is a physical location where the internet lives, but this is it.
Inside are endless rows of servers and miles of cables, the arteries of the internet.
Is this everything from like somebody's doing a Google search, somebody's watching a cat video, and that's all coming through here?
Absolutely. It's all that and more.
Amanda Peterson-Corio is Google's global head of data center energy.
And these fans are cooling our data centers.
On the rooftop, she showed us the hundreds of fans that keep all those computers humming. This is just one of at least 2,700 data centers that stretch from the suburbs of Virginia to the deserts of the West. They are mostly run by big tech firms and consume more than 4% of all electricity in the U.S. in 2022. That's projected to more than double to 9% by 2030. The nation's aging grid is also threatened by the soaring demands of artificial intelligence. It uses nearly 10 times the electricity of a typical internet search.
Is this amount of electricity use sustainable?
It's a real challenge. As we look to the next decade, those demands continue to grow. And the real challenge is figuring out how we can do this in a way that meets our climate goals.
Google's planet-warming emissions rose by 13% last year and have jumped nearly 50% since 2019. The company has spent heavily to bring new wind and solar power to the grid and says 64% of the time its operations run on clean energy. But when the sun isn't shining and the wind isn't blowing, data centers still rely on gas and coal, creating more carbon emissions, fueling climate change.
We need something that has that reliability, that works 24/7.
That something may be here in the desert of southern Utah.
We call this the Renewable Energy Corridor of Utah.
Tim Latimer is CEO of Fervo Energy, which is drilling deep underground.
How far down are you drilling here?
Right now we're at about 12,200 feet.
And harnessing heat from the Earth's crust to create carbon-free geothermal energy. Right now, geothermal accounts for less than 1% of U.S. electricity, but Fervo has used fracking and drilling techniques pioneered by the oil and gas industry to vastly expand geothermal use across the country. It says this site alone could eventually power 400,000 homes.
How big of a solution can this be?
Yeah, we think that geothermal could be as much as 20% of the U.S. electricity grid. We can develop large projects that will really move the needle on the electric grid and climate change.
Google is one of Fervo's customers and plans to use geothermal energy to help power its Nevada data centers.
So when the sun is not shining and the wind is not blowing, this thing's still cranking.
The Earth is still hot.
And so is the demand for electricity. For Eye on America, Ben Tracy, Reno.